Your 8-minute question and answer period will now begin. Do you have plans to scale your projects? Why and how?
Sure, I can answer that actually. So for our projects that we're showcasing today, we have Bioappeals, ETP, Catapult, and Connect Us. We wanted to talk about. So I'm the PM of Bioappeals, Eric. I will talk about Bioappeals for a bit. So we're currently actually implementing a two-market strategy actually with about 4 industry partners and a couple of local pilot sites. We have a 5-year growth strategy that involves our integration into the big three grocery stores, Metro, Sobeys, and Loblaws. And we have consulted with Ontario's farms and private Sobeys distributors actually to allow us to scale up really quickly next year. So for the ETP and Catapult, especially with COVID-19, there's been a lot of struggles with small businesses, and there will continue to be struggles for the next little bit. And so they want to partner with local Toronto restaurants to provide advisory services next year. And they are planning to upgrade next year with more clients and focusing on a different industry as well. And they want to expand their team as well. For Catapult, they are actually planning on going into a video series on YouTube, a Catalyst, and they are actually planning on generating revenue through this YouTube series to turn Catapult into like a more self-sustaining business to scale up. For Connect Us, one of the big demands is that they are lacking a lot of mental health issues in U of T, so they want to partner with other universities and student groups in U of T and in Ontario and work closely with mental health in U of T, health and wellness, as well as other mental health organizations in the GTA and in Ontario to maximize reach and ensure resources are accessible to everybody.
What surprised you the most as you worked on your projects over the last year?
I can take that one. So something that surprised us the most was having to shift from an in-person component. And some of these projects we have been running for quite a few years now at Enactus, for example, with ETP and Catapult. Both of these projects have been running for a few years. So having to really shift that model from an in-person to an online component now, to taking into account the pandemic has been quite a surprise for us, but we were able to continue working on all of our projects, being able to continue development as well as impact. And for Bioappeals and Connect Us, since they are one of our newer projects, Bioappeals was still able to continue development, which was super great just by creating a lab space with the required equipment in our own apartment. And Connect Us was a new project that was developed this year because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Can you outline the costs related to the development of your projects?
Sure, I can go into that. There's a lot of costs associated with biofuels per se, because we have a lot of labs, equipment, and materials that we have to do. But we have actually not spent a lot of money on marketing and advertising or human resources as with the other projects. So for ETP specifically, they actually don't have a lot of costs. All their costs are pro bono. They provide pro bono consulting, and therefore they don't have any human resources or marketing costs. For Catapult, their only cost is for a YouTube advertisement to expand the reach and to scale up better. And for Connect Us, all their costs are internal, and they only have minimal operating costs, basically.
Do you have an exit strategy for your projects?
So we have a couple of end goals on our projects. So for biofuels, we want to replace current technologies for increasing shelf life of produce that have a high carbon footprint, and ultimately reduce the amount of food waste that are incurred in grocery stores. For ETP and Catapult, they are very so for ETP, they want to assist clients during periods of hardship, so they are able to scale their business to uh, greatly. And they also want to teach students key skills in consulting and also entrepreneurship, like like critical thinking, problem solving, and also communication. Whereas Catapult, they want to keep growing Catalyst by obtaining more subscribers on your YouTube channel to generate more revenue so that Catapult can be self-sustaining, like I mentioned. And they also want to grow their team to deliver more workshops as before in the GTA, in the Greater Toronto area. For Connect Us, they actually were inspired by COVID-19 and the mental health problems in COVID-19 to stay connected. But the end goal is actually to build a community in which students can spend time and have fun together and spread awareness of mental health. And lastly, they want to provide students with more mental health resources and assist them to find the right place when needed.
How are your projects funded?
So I can go into that as well. But Sarah, I know you haven't been talking. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So for ETP and Catapult, they're both very low cost projects. So we don't need a lot of funding. For ETP, they are looking to implement a donation service on their website in the future. And so with that, their clients are able to donate if they found that their services were done very well, and that would help with funding for minimal operational costs and workshops for their team. With Catapult, they would also be funded through the ads and sponsorships that we talked about before, which will be implemented in the future as well. And then for Connect Us, that is also very low cost. So we would not be needing a lot of funding. Eric, I don't know if you want to go into BioPeels a little bit more.
Sure. Biofuels, we actually do need some funding, but again, we've been able to limit our funding only for lab resources and materials costs. So when we do scale up, the largest cost is only going to come from manufacturing, like equipment and materials. And even because we're using very low material costs, we don't necessarily see that as a big expense coming up.
Have you engaged any subject matter experts in the development of your projects?
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
oh, Advaith, you want to go?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, for sure. I could go ahead with this. So we did consult a lot of experts when coming up with the curriculum for our project. So for BioPeels, since it's an innovation first project, we performed lab research at U of T, and then we also sought support from Loblaws and Sobeys for market research and assessments, while also reaching out to clients. For ETP, we seeked advice from faculty advisors and professionals in the consulting industry, and also analyze other pro bono consulting clubs to better understand best practices and statistical techniques. And this is actually one of the main reasons why we were able to grow to 6 clients this year. For Catapult, because it's an investing and financial literacy workshop, we partnered with other organizations, specifically 10, where we help them with improve their financial literacy and work with one-on-one consultations to provide more in-depth consultations towards each client. And then for Connect Us, since it's a new project this year, we partnered with U of T's Health and Wellness Department to create, promote, and deliver content to students, while also making all the Connect Us members take part in IAR training so that they're able to better assist on health and wellness techniques for students.
Why is your team the right group to run these projects?
I can jump on that one. So I think our team is the right group to run on these projects because we are such a diverse team. We have a mix of business students as well as STEM students mixed in our group of over 90 students this year, as well as being a range of first years to second years, third years, and fourth years. We have.
Your time has now expired. Thank you, Enactus University of Toronto, St. George.